I'm going through Robert Aickman's Cold Hand in Mind, story by story. This time we're on the third story in the collection, and this is Neimandwasser. And Neimandswasser means no man's water. Neimandwasser takes place a little before World War I, and in it, Elmo, the youngest prince of a family, has become infatuated and then fallen out with Elvira. He is so broken up by this that he intends to do himself harm, but is unsuccessful. Elmo retreats to his family's dilapidated castle, which sits upon the water, and we learn that there is a point that becomes no man's water. In other words, it doesn't belong to any one country. And Elmo becomes fascinated by this because it's more than just a legal standing in the eyes of the local populace. It has taken on a certain amount of folklore which Elmo doesn't realize until later that he's actually had a little bit of a personal connection with. Elmo's struggles and his desire to end his own life connect with this idea of no man's water as he sets out and tries to meet his fate. Neimandswasser, I think, is one of the more obscure stories in a collection of obscure stories, but I do think there's some interesting things to look at least that kind of tripped in my mind. It's called No Man's Water, and this takes place shortly before World War I, where trench warfare was introduced, and of course the space between trenches was called no man's land. It's tempting to wonder if Aickman isn't sort of playing on this idea of no man's water, no man's land, by having this pre-World War I story where this man is so fixated on a woman and losing this woman that he wants to end himself. And he does so by going out to no man's water, or at least he's attempting. That's what he's attempting to do. And I think you could draw parallels about the love of country, and I think even the idea that Elmo wants to end himself because he's been spurned by Elvira. He has lost this love, that being a worthy reason to try to end yourself versus, giving yourself for your country. Are we supposed to see a difference there? Or are we supposed to see parallels? I think that's certainly open for interpretation, but it feels specific enough that I do feel like Aickman's playing with that in some terms. The next story I'll be looking at is the award-winning Pages from a Young Girl's Journal.